What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Wandless Magic in Hogwarts Legacy, and if maybe our character will be able to do it. So, this has been actually something that people have asked me about for quite a while, and I was always, I heard people, I never actually made the video, but I feel like now with the school, right, with Wagadu School, the school in Africa, and the lore behind it, now it's like, all right, well, is she the student, not Sai, is she gonna teach you potentially wandless magic? Does she use wandless magic? And I did see people in the comments when I talked about her character, and probably rightfully so, there is a little bit, potentially a little bit, of lore issue with this school that I don't know, if they really thought all the way through. And by they, I guess I mean J.K. Rowling, I guess I mean anybody who's expanded upon the lore of this school, or even Hogwarts Legacy, whatever, but wandless magic, kind of historically, right, you kind of know as they're the wizards or witches that are the most powerful, right? It's a specific skill, but it's a very advanced skill, okay? You have to be pretty powerful to be able to do it, and basically because that school or that region didn't really, I guess, respect wands, they just didn't even use wands. So they always use their fingers in the first place. So there is a little bit, or potentially maybe a lot of it, depending on, your preference on it, of lore issues there where, well, you're supposed to be powerful, but then you just have normal run-of-the-mill students just in a different region. They're able to do it naturally. Yet again, maybe that makes sense because, if you are raised to do something, maybe let's say more difficult than the average person, then they're not raised to do it. Well, I mean, that could be a societal thing as well. So the question would then become, right, does that transfer over at all to Hogwarts Legacy and to our character? Well, one part of it, right, is maybe flashbacks. Could we see the school through something? I honestly don't think so. I think that's, they built Hogwarts. I don't know how detailed they'd be able to build another school that we really know next to nothing about, right? Even in terms of like visual look, I think there's like one image of what the school looks like. So, is it possible? I guess. I think we'll hear stories from the school, but I don't think we'll actually see it. But then, of course, there's, well, what kind of knowledge comes from that? Now, one of the things, right, in terms of like them changing into animals, that could be the link between why she's maybe so defensive over these poachers going after, creatures around Hogwarts. That would actually make a lot of sense. We haven't seen her specifically, I believe, use magic yet. So that's going to be something interesting to see if she actually uses a wand or not. And then, of course, there's the main character. So Sebastian is probably teaching us Crucio, right? We can kind of all agree to that. I don't think necessarily each of the four friends are going to teach us a spell each. I don't think that's exactly like set in stone. She could be there simply because of the relationship between herself and creatures, maybe that seeking justice kind of part. Yet again, you could argue that's more along like her story arc, her mission arc, like Sebastian trying to save his sister, and that's why he kind of goes down the dark path. And so you have kind of the reasonings for whatever the quests are going to be with those characters. I guess how I look at it, too, I mean, we kind of just went over all of the lore. I mean, our character is very powerful, and they're gonna be even more powerful as the game goes on. So is it wild to think of, our character, in a lore perspective, if we're just sticking with lore first, is it, like, crazy to think? Not necessarily. Now, obviously, what we've seen so far has just been with a wand. We haven't seen, our character, the main character, use any magic without the wand. But then also from a practical perspective, or just like the actual game, could they do it? I don't see why not. I mean, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a game designer, but the idea that, you have this piece of stick or whatever, this wood in your hand, and you're shooting out spells, and then literally like how you're making the game, like you're coding the game. Is it possible to literally just take the wand away and you're doing the spells just with your hand instead? Or you literally, your finger, your pointer finger, is the wand in game speech, in the code? Can they make the finger the wand? So you just have the spells that come from the tip of the wand just come from your finger instead, and there you go, voila, you have wandless magic. So, because oftentimes I talk about, okay, the practicality of, could this actually work in a game? this is an example where I really don't see why not. I don't think it would be too difficult. Now, it would maybe be a little, like, wonky, like, looking at it. Like, it depends on how, I guess, detailed they did it or how, forward-thinking this is. But I think from a programming perspective, or could the game actually handle you doing it, I really don't see why not, because they're just animating and attaching all of these spells to the tip of a wand. You just have to move that tip to your finger. Now, I guess you could then say, though, like, how much would you use, not your wand? Some of the iconicness, let's say, of the Wizarding World are those kind of battles, right? So you imagine if you're going to fight Rookwood or Ranrock or both, whatever, you imagine, like, you'd want, and we see it, in the trailer, some really cool, where the spells kind of collide with each other. Could you do that with just your hand? I mean, I guess technically, but it looks cooler when you got the wand and you're swishing and flicking it, and then, the spell comes out and it matches somebody else. There's just something to that, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, maybe like an end game thing where you could turn it off and on, where you don't have to have your wand. Like, it's tough because actually going into this video, I was thinking yes, and even though it actually seems very possible to use it, it's not something like the game couldn't do, I almost feel like the answer is still going to be no. So if we're making predictions, which I guess we still are, I'll predict the answer is no, we will not use Wandless Magic, which is maybe a little bit of a controversial thing, or maybe something that could turn out to be wrong. I mean, I guess in this case, I maybe want to be wrong, because I think from a lore perspective, if she can teach it to you, that's possible. Also, you are very powerful, so it's not like you wouldn't be able to manage, even though you're so young, right? But again, I mean, if these students are able to do it, so from lore, it kind of makes sense. From a design perspective, I mean, I don't see why not. You have games where you can fight bare hand, and then you fight. Now, those are, I guess, different mechanics. If you fight bare hand versus with a weapon, those are sometimes separate. But for this, it's like literally just if you can do Expelliarmus with your your wand, just take that spell and drag it to your fingertip instead of the wand itself. Get rid of the wand, and there you go. And maybe it's not as easy as just describing it like that, but I don't think it's the most difficult thing of all time. But ultimately, it could be, again, like a preference. Like a wand is so iconic. Choosing your wand, or the wand chooses you, and linking your wand right with the website, and then you get that wand. I mean, the wand in this game is so important. So to take that from you, again, like that's that not necessarily practical thing, more like, I guess, iconic is the only word I can think of right now in my limited vocabulary. That's something to think about, though, right? How much we've seen the wand usage in this game so far, how much people care about the wand, and what type of material it is, and all that stuff. Very important. It's very important to people. So to take the wand away, like, yeah, it signifies you're even more powerful, basically, right? But it's not like it's almost as silly as it's not as cool. It's literally not as cool to look at if you're not using a wand. So I'll say no, but I think this is one that could be 50-50, but not like for the full game. This is something that you would be able to maybe toggle on and off at the end of the game, or once you learn it from her. But I don't know if that's what she would teach. I don't think everybody's gonna teach you like a spell each. They could unlock something. So she could honestly unlock like mounting, like travel. That's what she could do. Yet again, well, I don't know if that's possible though, right? Because like if you don't do her quest, because you don't have to, can you still fly things? And the answer would be you kind of have to, because they focused on it so much. So maybe it's not that, but maybe there's more than one ways of learning how to fly things. Maybe that's how you learn how to fly a hippogriff specifically. So, there's other things she can teach beyond just a spell. I would not expect her to teach a spell, I guess is what I'm saying. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media links are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.